Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Great to see you. Great to have you on our webinar. My name is Diana Economy, and I'm the Senior Admissions Advisor here at the Yale School of Management. I work very closely with our students interested in our Master's in Asset Management. And along the way, we've gotten a lot of questions from prospective students about, is this the right path for me? Should I look at a Master's in Asset Management? Should I look at a Master's in Finance or an MBA? What might be the right path for me to be able to get to the career goals that I'm interested in? So today's session is designed to help you understand a little bit more about our program, who it's designed for, and what you can expect after graduating from a program like this. We're also going to provide you a few things to think about as you reflect on whether a master's in asset management is right for you and as you begin your application. But the good news is I'm not here alone. We have some alumni who are joining us, and you'll hear from them in just a second as they introduce themselves. So before that happens, I want to be able to give you a bit of some background here. And as I mentioned, today's session, we'll talk a little bit about what is asset management, a little bit about the academic backgrounds that you need. We get a lot of questions on, is there particular courses that I need to take? Is it only for people in certain majors? We'll go through all of that. We're also going to talk about what type of jobs grads go into, as well as answer your questions. So what is asset management? Put very simply, asset management is the practice of increasing wealth over time through the buying, selling, and trading of assets. Professionals in the asset management space provide this service to others, balancing risk and reward through a variety of strategies, which you'll become very well acquainted with through this type of program. Asset management clients include high net worth individuals, government entities, corporations, institutions, investors such as colleges, pension funds. There are many different avenues of employment that fall under this category. Some include investment analysts, research analysts, portfolio and fund managers, private wealth managers, which are just a few. Endowments, hedge funds, private equity funds are just a small sampling of the types of employers in this space. At Yale in particular, we have an incredible 9-month quant-focused degree program that is STEM certified and targeted for early career candidates. We usually say early in your asset management career. So some of you may have a little bit more experience, but if you're looking to get into that entry level point within the asset management space, this could be the degree for you. The majority of our candidates have 0 to 3 years work full-time experience, and you can see on the chart over there the balance from the most recent class. From the academic perspective, it's divided into core curriculum and elective classes. And most of the core classes are taught by our top-ranked SOM faculty who are pursuing cutting-edge research across a wide variety of topics. Most electives are taught by leading investment managers who are in the field navigating real-world challenges and bringing those experiences to you here in the classroom. Students are encouraged not only to take classes within the asset management program, but explore subjects at the broader Yale School of Management as well as across the Yale campus. This asset management colloquium that we offer is, as I mentioned, where these professionals will come and speak to you. They're going to give you unparalleled access to industry leaders across a range of relevant fields, and they're going to be there to answer your questions. We also require a practical experience, which you'll complete as part of your studies. It's a minimum of 40 hours. It's typically an internship, maybe a research project with a professor, could be, for example, an investment-focused case competition. So students may pursue a variety of things, and so we'll talk a little bit more about that as you start to hear from some of our alums. I think the other thing that really sets Yale apart is our focus on educating leaders for business and society. So as you'll see, we are really looking to develop a set of leaders who are going to be able to have an impact on this field, to elevate the profession, to be able to be thought leaders within this space with a very foundational and ethical perspective that comes along with it. We are the most integrated business school with our parent university. So when you're at SOM, you're really part of this broader Yale community, which I think is, intellectuals and professionals and others from all over the world studying here in New Haven. We're also distinctively global. This program in particular has got quite a range of people from a lot of different locations and experiences. And again, we want to help you become a leader within this space. And so we're going to help you do that along the way. I am very excited to be able to have two of our students with us today, and I am going to hand off to Azain if you want to introduce yourself.
Thanks, Diana. It's a pleasure to be here and to be speaking to all the people on the line. I currently work at Bridgewater Associates as a researcher on their multi-asset portfolio team and help partner with sophisticated investors all over the world on their biggest investment challenges and try and help them navigate through any questions they might have on how they should hold their assets, how they should evolve their asset allocation in order to meet their investment goals. And I graduated from the program about 2 years now at this point. So I was part of the class of 23 and had a really enriching experience in my time at Yale. And so I'm really excited to sort of encourage everyone here to sort of give this program a really hard and deep look and hopefully help you along your journey in deciding whether or not this place is for you.
Excellent. Thanks, Addison.
Hey everyone, so greetings. My name is Addison. I'm from Shanghai, China. Prior to Yale, I finished my undergrad at NYU Shanghai, majoring in data science and finance. And upon graduating from Yale, currently working at JP Morgan in Hong Kong in the private banking department, mainly working as the investor analyst and serving ultra high net worth clients with their investment need, mainly for portfolio allocation and also day-to-day brokerage and trading needs. So very exciting to share how I feel about our program, what are my experiences, and how prospective students will learn from how the program gonna shape your career.
Excellent. Thank you both for being here. I know it's busy in the spaces that you're in, and so we're very grateful to have you today. So, as I mentioned, I think we get a lot of questions about what type of undergraduate studies one needs, and I know you've just articulated a little bit about what you studied in undergrad, but can you tell us a little bit more about your academic preparation and the background that you had, maybe in particular if there's additional coursework that you took and if that was foundational or beneficial to you as you started the program? So, Addison, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, of course. I think my background might be more like a good fit for our asset management program. So I had a mix of both quantitative background, majoring in data science, and also an interest in finance. Also, make that double major combination is quite helpful. So I have multiple like preparation courses doing undergrad, mainly for statistics, computer science, the coding classes, and also some of the foundational math classes. I think the program by admissions, we will list out some of like recommended or foundational classes for STEM, and that is quite helpful. But for me, starting from more like a data science background, this is definitely an add that just leverages what I have learned in undergrad and to combine it more sophisticatedly into the finance world. So prior to the program, I have a understanding that maybe data science and finance, they're two probably different regime. The only combination might only be like quantitative finance for sure. But after doing this program, understanding how the fundamental methods and also quantitative methods work together is quite helpful. And definitely those portfolio management classes, quantitative investing are the true pure gem of this program that really helps me to understand how we combine quantitative methods not only in the pure like quant finance world, but also how my day-to-day job in fundamental investing and also portfolio management, they came together.
Busy?
Yeah, I think similar to Addison, I had a quantitative undergrad degree. Like I had an undergrad degree in like some quantitative fields. So like I came in as somebody who was familiar with programming, was familiar with applied mathematics, and was quite interested in finance, and so had done level 1 of the CFA program. and then was thinking about how to sort of further my career down a specific lane of quantitative and systematic investing, and was looking for programs that had curriculum sort of tailored towards that goal. And this program really struck out, mostly for the way the curriculum is designed and who teaches here. We have faculty that in their day job are both professors, but actually also money managers. And so hold really closely both theoretical and practical concepts about how to manage people's money and how to interact with clients. And so was like really keen on pursuing this program. In terms of preparation, I think Addison pretty much hit all of it. I think the first part of this program is kind of, I would say, is structured for you. And so there are core courses that you all have to do. And so you should really look at what are the skills you need to be able to get through those. And it's a mix of strong mathematical / quantitative skills. You don't necessarily have, but it's like not like you don't need to be like a math PhD or anything, but you should be able to sort of go through 2 or 3 different parts of the curriculum, which are like linear algebra, that is like dealing with matrices and understanding how to model concepts in matrices, and then a little bit of multivariate calculus. Again, I think a couple of like prep courses before you come here, which I think the program now recommends, I think should hold you in good stead. And in terms of programming, I think you should just be familiar with how to use programming as a tool to sort of do the sort of analysis that you need in order to be able to work in this field. And so some familiarity with Python and R would be great. Of course, today you have a lot of code assist with LLMs. So just getting familiar in that space would be super helpful, I think. And yeah, I think that's about it.
Great. Yeah, the reality is we do have people in the class that come from a variety of backgrounds. Of course, you can see the bulk have studied some of the STEM fields, finance, business, economics, mathematics, engineering. We do have some humanities and social science majors, but as our alums have mentioned, some of the coursework that you could be selecting now, so courses in like multivariable calculus, linear or matrix algebra, as you mentioned, microeconomic theory, probability and statistics, computer programming, they're not required for admission. So if you're sitting here thinking either A, I've already selected all my coursework, or maybe B, I've just recently graduated and this is not, I have not taken all of these classes. These are just things that are going to be pretty thoughtfully foundational for the work that you're going to do. But we do have a summer study where we're going to make sure that our students are up to speed on some of these concepts. But these are beneficial courses. So if you are in a position to be able to still select coursework, depending on where you are in your studies, these could be things that you consider and you think about. But again, people do come from a variety of majors. Many of you on the call today have already chosen your major, and you might say, oh my gosh, I've chosen, political science, and I don't see that on the list. I think that we're going to be looking at some of the complementary coursework that you have taken and some of the ways that you've demonstrated your quantitative proficiency through the lens of what you're able to share in your application. So, thinking back on your time in the asset management program now, were there particular courses or electives that proved most valuable for your career? Azain, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there were so many to choose from, and so I always like look back and have a little bit of regret that I couldn't do more. But I think the ones that like really stick out to me were, in terms of like the core courses, the ones that I loved were quantitative investing, which was taught by Professor Toby Moskowitz, and another one that was called machine learning and econometrics, that at the time was taught by Professor David Kelly. David Kelly's course in particular was like really on the cutting edge of what has now become everyday conversation, which is the applications of machine learning and AI to investing. And so I think that sort of exposure is insane because like Brian teaches papers that he's actively working on or has just published. And so nobody else is getting that sort of education. I can guarantee you that in that particular field. So that's really cool. And then in terms of like elective courses, again, there were so many to choose from. I think like Addison mentioned portfolio management in practice. that was like one of my favorite ones, where you basically choose your friend, like you basically go form teams with your friends and you simulate running a hedge fund over like 8 weeks or like more than that maybe. And that's like an education in and of itself. Like Dr. Osman Nalbantaklu brings in people from his day job at Bridgewater and people he's met along the way. And they tell you not just about investing in terms of like, trading markets, but they teach you about risk management. They teach you about the legal. They teach you about client service, and how that makes a huge difference in the real world. Um, and again, I don't think that exposure is easy to get anywhere else. And so I think those would be my picks.
What do you think, Addison?
Yeah, I think as I mentioned, like most of my favorite classes, but I would probably just add on for the electives. So I loved like the secondary markets before I joined the program. So I'm very curious to learn about like fixed income world because did a fixed income class in undergrad, and that part just stimulates me. I'm thinking, oh, that's a good combination of doing lots of math. In the same time, you might have some good investment ideas. So I chose the fixed income course that is taught by Professor Saman, and that was really impressive. He used to work at Deutsche Bank and other like Solomon, so lots of like live experience in trading room. So knowing a lot from live examples, some of the most amazing cases and also the pitfalls. So super exciting. And I definitely like have a better understanding of how those like financial instruments work, how derivative works, and just got very intellectually stimulated. I always recommend these courses. If anyone came to me, I say probably choose fixed income if you never learn about it. So that would be a good start. If you have already had some understanding, that would be a good add-on by hearing from the like industry experts. Another course I like is like PEVC that is taught by Professor Ma. He is because I never did like primary market stuff before, knowing very little about private equity or venture capital. So his class is a very good intro and definitely a level up for me to know like how different asset classes they work in this world. Maybe not just like the secondary markets that we trade every day, but also like the illiquid part, how we evaluate, how we see those very exciting VC deals happening. So that was quite interesting for me. And finally, definitely for the portfolio management class that mentioned by Azain as well. Professor Osman, very passionate speaker and also bringing lots of like industry experts to the classroom. And I was doing like a simulation for endowment at that time. And when I joined my job at JP Morgan doing private banking, we use like those how endowment allocate capital to show those high net worth clients how they should allocate their long-term capital so that they can work like investing like an institution. So when I compare how these work that they came together, these things are just intertwined. It goes together. So quite exciting. So these will be, I think, a good combination of how you think about the financial markets and a overview from both private markets to secondary markets to your like portfolio management. So there's so many offerings in at this school.
Thank you. And yeah, you're right. It is quite a lot to do in a 9-month time period, but your thoughts, both of you, sound very much in alignment with what I've heard also from other alums that have gone through this program and have been very engaged by the rigorous curriculum, by the selection that you have to be able to choose electives. So this is some of our core classes. And, Azain, you mentioned sort of some of the cutting edge theories, and another place that might come up is in the colloquium, right? So if we're bringing people who are here in the industry space, navigating some real-time challenges, it's just a great complement to the practical and theoretical courses that you're getting across the board. The nice thing as well is that you have a really healthy amount of electives that you can select. So there's a lot of great options to choose from. And as I mentioned, you can take classes not just at SOM, But I think there are some people that might take a law school class, or if people are interested in investing in energy, or, there could be other courses across campus that could be complementary to your studies. But of course, as you look at this, many of these courses are appealing to our students. So you never have to leave SOM to have really great opportunities to be able to take coursework. You can also be a part of our student clubs and organizations, and you'll be alongside our MBA students and others. Again, you might be interested in the energy club, or if you're interested in healthcare investment, for example, you could be in the healthcare club, the investment management club. There's a lot of opportunities to be a part of the community, broadly speaking, and to continue your knowledge building throughout your experience. So I mentioned that we require practical experience, which is either going to be an internship, a project, case competition, maybe research with professors. I'd love for each of you to share what you did for your practical experience, and maybe how you found it and why you chose that path. Addison, do you want to start?
Yeah, of course. So mine is I did a case competition. That is the CFA challenge that where we joined the CFA challenge annually that is organized by different states. So it's organized by Connecticut. And then it is a stock pitch competition. So you have a team of five that might be a combination of both like SOM students and also Yale undergrad by my time. And then at that time we have I think it's a local company in Connecticut and a small cap, and then we just do stock pitch on it. You will have like pretty much good exposure through that challenge because like the CFA Society, they will organize the meetings with the IR team of that company and also assign you with an industry like mentor. So a wholesome experience how you do research for a stock for a company. And by the end of the challenge, so we would present to the competition committee. So if you are genuinely very interested in the fundamental investing or like stock pitches, that would be a good ad. And also, I think it's a good fit into how you do practical experience. And there are like other challenges happening all over the year. I remember there's a Chicago Bulls, I think it's the bond pitching challenge. So it's mainly like this credit pitch challenge. And also for MBAs, they will have I think it's in North Carolina. It's stock pitch competition as well, but mainly for MBAs and Cornell case competition. That's for portfolio management. So these opportunities they might be recommended through the investment management club or other opportunities happening. So quite a good way for you to fulfill the practical experience. And I think I can pass the time to Azain to see how he fulfilled the practical experience.
Yep, thanks, Addison. So for me, I interned with Schonfeld Strategic Advisors, who are a multi-strategy hedge fund based out of New York. And I was a quantitative researcher on their portfolio construction and risk team. And the way that I came about this opportunity was the year prior, they had visited the program and recruited for a part-time intern in the winter, and that had gone well for them, and so they decided to redo that thing, and again went through a rigorous interview process with a bunch of my peers, and was made the offer to work with Schonfeld for about from January through April, so like about 16 weeks part-time. And so definitely hit the 40 hours through that, and learned a lot along the way and made a lot of good connections with people at Schonfeld and the industry in general. And it gave me really good perspective on the practicalities of managing literally billions of dollars of money, and the sense of like responsibility and ownership that you need to have that comes with it. So, and then obviously like refine my technical skills that much more by being on a real live project with real live data. In terms of avenues that I saw other people in my class use, a couple of my classmates worked with professors at Yale on live research and working papers. And that was super enriching for them. One of them, who also ended up being our class marshal, who's the person who gets the highest grades across all courses, is now doing his PhD at Yale in finance. And so I think the benefit of having that experience really convinced him that academia is the place where he needs to be instead of industry. And that's a cool thing that this program also offers you, given that so many of our professors are publishing high quality research and can always need an extra hand, that if you choose to spend the time outside of class developing relationships with them and expressing intellectual curiosity in their work, that they will be generous enough to sort of give you opportunities to partner with them. And that can lead to opportunities that you might not have expected to receive. And so be open to that sort of thing is what I would say. Similar to what Addison said, a bunch of my colleagues at that time also participated in projects and competitions, and they were able to fulfill their requirements through that way.
Excellent. Yeah, I think you both have hit, some really important points, notably about kind of the tight-knit nature of our community. So beyond just the practical experience, you've talked to both of you about the connections that you've had to faculty through the course of these practical experiences, or like in aligning your goals, and sort of talking to them. And that's part of the reason that the cohort itself is small. It's only 60 students in this program, and I think it makes for a really nice cohort in terms of you and your classmates, so getting to know your classmates really well. But there's also an incredible amount of support and attention placed on this program, and the people that you have access to and the conversations that you can have through being a part of this, and being a part of this Yale network, which cannot be understated in terms of the impact and importance that it will have for you. And I know that plays out in your practical experience. I'm assuming it also has played out for you in your career journey. So as you've navigated what your career steps are and trying to figure out what you wanted to do next. Azain, we'll start with you. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you chose the path that you did and maybe any of the inputs that helped inform that path going forward?
Yeah, I'm happy to. So I think taking it all the way back to when I was considering applying to the program and other programs, I think I was fairly clear about what I wanted to do after grad school. And so that really informed why I picked Yale, because as I mentioned, the curriculum was exactly what I would have wanted to study for the roles I would have wanted to recruit for. And so the roles that I was looking at were quantitative research roles, preferably on the buy side, but I would have started with sell side if the opportunity presented itself. And as I went through my journey in grad school and I attended these classes, I think that more and more reaffirmed to me that I wanted to do some sort of investment research, and also sort of expanded my mindset to, well, like a specific sort of investment research is like not exactly what I like. I can do whatever. Like I think the frameworks are general enough that you can apply yourself to any particular field. And so started looking at a lot of roles. Then I interned at Schonfeld. I was like, this is really interesting. I really enjoyed it. And so I guess the thing that I kept experiencing was that what I really enjoy is generating new insight and like solving complex problems. And so then I started looking at roles that were like, how can I like best apply myself to solve complex investment problems? And so this opportunity came about at Bridgewater, which was on their client investment research team. And that team, basically what it does is it engages Bridgewater's clients, who are usually large multi-billion dollar institutional investors. So think public pension plans, sovereign wealth funds, who each have like very unique investment challenges that they're trying to solve. So for example, if you're the public pension fund of Alaska, like how do you ensure that 70 years from now, citizens of Alaska receive their pensions? How do you understand what your risks are? And how do you sort of allocate money across those risks to ensure the best chance of meeting your investment goals? And so that's kind of how I was like I read about the role, spoke to people, realized that was very interesting, went through that entire journey and ended up being in the role that I am. And so I think the so what of this whole story is really introspecting about the things that excite you, because jobs in this industry are not like jobs in some other industries. You don't really have a 9 to 5. You can have 9 to 9s and worse. And so if you're going to be spending 15, 16 hours of your time, make sure you enjoy what you do. Make sure it's like something that really excites you. make sure you find cultures and people that you want to be around for those extended periods of time under high stress environments. So for me personally, the culture at Bridgewater is amazing, and like I like going into work no matter what I'm doing, and that is important. And so speak to a lot of people and really try and understand the employers that you're thinking of going to is the other thing I would say. And then the third thing I would say is once you've sort of narrowed down what you want to do and where you want to do it, be really intentful and thoughtful about how you prep. Manage your time really well. So if you're coming into the program and you're saying, I'll just apply for everything and I'll just prep for everything, like just quite practically, finance is incredibly wide. There's private markets, public markets, there's fundamental, there's quantitative. You're just not going to have the time to do everything. So select like the 3 or 4 things that like really, really like stand out to you, and then like really prioritize your time trying to crack those 3 or 4 things.
Thank you. Addison?
Yeah. I think my job is quite a complement to what Azain has been talking about. So it's a completely different regime of finance. So I used to do several like sell side internships and mainly sales and trading, corporate banking, equity research, and those jobs they all happen like at banks, so sales side place. And after I enter into like asset management program, thinking I need a pivot, maybe I want to do buy side, but I'm not very sure how the buy side work looks like. So I was in the mix to thinking maybe let's say private banking or asset management at a bank. That might be not a large shift from what I have been doing. Maybe the employers there, they might recognize what I have been doing through internships. So that is why I started to think maybe I narrow down to asset management slash private banking slash investment management, these roles in the first place. And also thinking about what kind of location I want to be working at. So not like lots of my classmates who are currently still in the United States, I work in Hong Kong. So I returned back to APAC after graduation. And I have several of my classmates in class of 2024 who are currently also in Hong Kong. And they are doing also like asset management and private banking. So we're a good complement maybe for those who came from Asia. So still you can consider other opportunities outside the United States if you find that to be attractive as well. So at the first place, I think maybe the job location you're looking at is also a good consideration. So for me, I'm quite neutral to where I want to work at, but Hong Kong is a financial hub in Asia, so I look at this as well. Um, so these are like 2 major considerations. And then as I started to do job search, these like sales side roles, it opens up quite early. So it's probably the first several months of your study at Yale, you will be quite intensively applying to these jobs. They open around September after they finalize all these summer interns and what are the headcounts for new analysts. So that is when all of the job openings came out. So I applied for lots of them. And when I looking at like interviewing for private banking, I was not really sure if I want to do this or is it the right job or a good fit for what I have been studying. I used to do a lot of the quant stuff and I pretty much enjoy that. So through the interview, the interviewers are saying, oh, we're not just doing like relationship management or just hunting for new clients. You're also doing good portfolio management and also investment counseling for our clients. So I got pretty much attracted. I want a balance between like people work and also investment knowledge. So I think that will be the job I've been looking for. So that's why I chose this job. I've been working for 1 year. But after joining this job, I would say not every job looks like how you think about it after you actually doing that. But there are like very exciting parts about how you allocate capital, how you use good frameworks to say do asset allocation. But I think most of the sell side work, they still, like as I said, you might be working long hours, but you probably need to really enjoy this job or love the work environment you are in so that you can have a good time, not a very miserable time there. Just a quick preview to if you planning to work at banks. But quite luckily, the team I've been working at JP Morgan is a very much supportive environment, and the company is quite paying lots of attention to juniors. So we have a good not corporate ladder per se, but a good structure program for you to grow as analyst to associate or to further like vice president. So it's a quite structured environment. So I think it's also a difference in buy side or sell side role, where sell side you always have someone who is quite close to your age, someone you can always learn from, say a second year analyst or an associate who just like several years older than you, but at buy side there might be a more like sparse age differentials, or you might not have lots of like structured programming in recruitment. So I think these are like some of the considerations when you are choosing between like buy side roles and also sell side roles.
Yeah, you both approached your careers very intentionally, which is awesome. And I think as we sit here today, there are people on this call that might be applying here this January when we have our application deadline, could be in New Haven as early as next August. And I think now is a good time for you to be leveraging the resources that you have in front of you, whether it is people in your network, whether it is mentors, whether it are resources on your university, could be through an investment competition that you're participating in on campus, or it could be through a career office or similar resources. We'll also be having more events where you get a chance to hear more directly from either faculty or our students a little bit about the progressions and things that they've had. But it does happen quickly. Addison, I'm glad you said that, is that, some of these job postings came, within a short period of time after you started school. So as much as you have a little bit of time to think about it, we're going to work with you even as before you set foot in New Haven on some things that you might need to be thinking about so that you can be as focused as you can be against your career goals. And Azain, you mentioned this too, quite a diverse representation of finance roles in the class. So a lot of different roles, a lot of times we get people say, is there a particular role? While this is only a snapshot in time, it's fairly reflective of what we see from classes, which is to say, quite diverse in terms of the outcomes. About 2/3 of our students stay in the US, about a third go international, usually, by choice. Addison, I know that you're by choice have gone to Hong Kong to pursue your professional path. So those are options. This is a STEM certified program. So if those of you who are international students here, of course, that would give you an opportunity to stay in the US for a little bit as well. We have a great career development office, though, that are there to support you, as well as, frankly, these faculty that are practitioners in this space. Again, there's a lot of ways that you can build your network. And again, I guess I'll go back to international students who tend to be a little less familiar with the concept of networking and how to do it. That's something that we'll help you with. But there are a lot of people that you'll encounter as part of this program that could very well be a sounding board for you or a resource as you're navigating your next steps professionally. So keeping your eyes and ears open and knowing what you're focused on is going to give you the best chance to be able to get that learning out. So this is just a slide of a number of the places our grads in recent years have gone. So again, not only diversity in terms of finance, but diversity in terms of the organizations that people are working with, as you can see here. All right. So one of the questions that we get is also about an MBA or a specialized master's. So Addison or Azain, I know, Azain, you kind of referenced like this is the program that had the right fit for me, and Addison, maybe you felt the same way too. But did either of you look at like master's in finance programs? Did you think about an MBA? Were there other options that you thought about outside of the master's in asset management? Either one of you can start.
I think I can start first. So I went to like asset management program directly after my undergrad. So per like work experience, I'm not qualified for MBA, but during that time, I'm looking at other like master's programs that are targeted for early careers in finance, or more likely quantitative finance to be a more narrower choice. So I think I looked through some of like master finance program, master operations, or master's like quantitative finance, but I'm very sure I won't be doing like financial engineering or financial mathematics. So there's not much options open if you are only looking at finance. Because I'm quite like result oriented. I look at their career outcome of all these programs to see if they have good they have a portion of students going to secondary market, mainly like sales and trading, investment management, or private banking. If these programs they have students who go into the regime, I would consider that would be a part of the good fit for me. If they are targeting more likely for students who are going to investment banking or financial engineering, quantitative, I think like how to proceed it, quantitative researcher. So I say maybe that's not my program, but the Masters of Asset Management program is just a good fit. It has I think it's a balance between like students want to pursue quantitative finance, quantitative research, and also students who are more generally interested in investments, but not sure what part of the investment universe you are interested in. It might be like you might want to do private equity, or you are interested in generally just fundamental equities. So after like navigating how the career outcomes are looking like, so I think like Master of Asset Management is a good fit, but mainly I think a MFIN program, the Master of Finance program, it's not very much specialized. So if if you're pretty sure you want to do asset management, no matter fundamentally or quantitatively, the program should be the best fit for you. I know there are other like Master of Finance program positioning themselves having a specialization in asset management, but this could not be compared with our like more structured asset management program. Yeah.
Azain?
Yeah, I think Addison did a pretty good job of like laying out what the framework should be. And I think I think the only thing I would say is I think you should definitely do your own research because it's a big financial commitment no matter which one of these programs you choose. And so I would just like start out by thinking about what do you want this degree to give you? Like one of the essay questions literally asks you, and like be really thoughtful as you're writing that essay question, and that should sort of inform, like looking at the class outcomes, that should inform, is this aligned with what I want to do or not? Look at the curriculum. Like if there's a lot of classes in that curriculum that you actually wouldn't want to attend, then you probably don't want to attend that program. And then if there is a curriculum that's like, wow, I really like all of these classes, like I think that's a good indication that you will enjoy that program. Second, third, I would say is like speak with people in those several programs that you're kind of considering at the beginning and narrow that down based on people's lived experiences of that program. And I think you also have to optimize or like think about things like cost, value for money and things like that. Like I think that's a big deal, especially if you're international and you're taking on debt to do the program. And so this was particularly a consideration for me because I was thinking, well, an MBA is twice the cost, twice the time. And so you forego a year of wages. And so like that's more expensive. And then this is a 1-year program. I'm actually rubbing shoulders with a lot of the MBAs in the business school. I can actually take a bunch of their classes. And I get the Yale SOM kind of brand. I get great education in the thing that I care about. So I just like that was like a easy decision for me to go for the specialized masters. And so like that's mostly my advice is like figure out what your goal is and then optimize for that goal.
Great. Yeah, so just a little bit of the difference between the two we've started to articulate. Of course, the specialized masters tends to be for people a little bit earlier in their careers. You saw, I think this class has got about 50% that are coming straight from undergrad, so that's not uncommon and it's something that's welcomed. Now, if you're not coming right out of undergrad, as you saw as well, there are people that have a little bit of experience. When I mentioned that this program would bring you early into your asset management career, you could have more work experience, but you are probably going to be entering at the same point that somebody who's a little bit more junior to you would be, right? So it's not that even though you have more years of experience, if you do this program, you're necessarily going to enter at at any higher point than somebody who might have less experience. So, but if this is the fit for you, you're right. In 9 months, you could be done with this program and off into that launch pad of your first, career in this space. The full-time MBA tends to have about 5 years on average work experience. Of course, that means we've got people above, we have people below. So there is a balance. And the MBA over the course of 2 years is going to give you a more generalized business degree. Although you can focus your MBA, so you have significant amount of opportunity to focus your electives, just as you do in the asset management program. Frankly, you have more electives in the MBA, so there's going to be more opportunity to be able to hit on a variety of topics and maybe specialize as well. So on the career goal side, we've talked a little bit about this. This tends to be a launch pad into this space, whereas an MBA, usually people are going to either accelerate into a new leadership opportunity or perhaps to pivot. So they've started on path A in the MBA because it has that full internship over the summer, and 2 years of experience might be the platform to be able to pivot your career. The curriculum, more specialized versus broad, but with both you have the opportunity to customize. And a specialized master's tends to be 9 to 12 months, maybe 18 months. You'll have to take a look. At Yale, of course, it's 9 months, and our full-time MBA program is 2 academic years. And I would say, although the alumni that you're going to interact with in your program are probably going to be focused on the areas that you're focused on within those programs, when you're graduating from Yale SOM, you were a graduate of the business school. So whether somebody graduated from the MBA or any of the programs in between, they're really part of your professional network as you proceed. I would say the same to be true just across Yale University in general. You have that tie to having studied at Yale. We also offer a joint degree with an MBA and Master's in Asset Management, which could be completed in 2 years. So this, I would say, is a good fit for somebody who is at a point where they can be competitive for the MBA too, right? So that tends to be, and with the exception of what I'll talk about in a second, which is our Silver Scholars Program, people with at least a few years of experience on the MBA side. But if pairing it with the asset management degree could be a good option for some of you. I mentioned that we do have this unique opportunity called the Yale Silver Scholars, which allows for students to start their MBA immediately after graduation from undergrad. So think about this as starting in the core curriculum alongside all the full-time MBAs. So immediately after undergrad, you're going to start in the core curriculum. You would then go on what we call an extended internship. So this is 1 year to a few years long experience, and you would then return to earn your elective credits and to finalize your MBA degree. So just a different type of option for some students that might be ready for it and thinking that the MBA is the right path for them to proceed. We do have, I think, maybe one Silver Scholar this year that's also the joint degree with the asset management. So a couple of different ways to navigate. As we wrap up here and as we get to your questions, which by the way, if you do have questions, do feel free to put them in the Q&A. We'll be happy to get to them. For our alumni, I'd love to know a little bit more about what you wish you would have known when you were in their shoes. So they're navigating and thinking through next steps. What do you wish you would have known? Addison?
I think before I joined, there's several rumors. They're saying this program is quite intensive quantitatively, and also quite intensive for you if you are looking for a job. But I think before you were thinking maybe across different programs you're looking at for masters, definitely how you want to position yourself in the asset management space, or do you want to have a quite like quantitatively prepared training, and also how you balance between like career paths and also the curriculum? I wish I know that through this program you will make good friends, you will have a fulfilled experience with curriculum, and also a kind of a I think it's a messy but also helpful experience with their career path finding. So if I'm as a prospective student looking at the program, I would say maybe having some conversations with the alums, with joining us at the admissions events to know more about how the alumni balance between curriculum and career, and then will really help you to position yourself in and make the most out of this program.
Yeah, I mean, I think I basically used to like ask this question to like the people who did the program before me. And I think the thing that you always want to find out about any program that you're planning to attend or any job that you're planning to take is what are the things that are not good about the program? Like, quite frankly, where is the program weak? And so, like, I think the thing everybody should like do as part of their prep for doing grad school is if the program's weaknesses sort of reinforce your weaknesses. So if, like, for example, you attend a program and that program is like very quantitative and you just don't like math, like don't attend that program. Like it's fairly obvious, but like get all the things that might be difficult, like that might be difficult for you, get that information and stare really hard at that information. In terms of like what I wish I had known personally coming in was just like how quickly like 9 months goes is kind of insane. Like I've spoken to a lot of other grad school students who went for 18-month programs and like 2-year programs, and even my friends in the MBA, and all of them are like, we can't like we have no idea how where the time went. And I was like, well, 9 months goes even quicker than that, particularly when you have to balance your academics with recruiting. And so I guess like the thing I wish I had known was like how important it is to manage your time and prioritize and like really pick your battles. You're like the if you're an international student coming in and your primary goal is to get a great job, then you probably need to prioritize the job hunt a little bit more than getting high honors on all your academics. So like, or you probably don't want to pick the toughest courses. You maybe want to be a little smart about the courses you pick. Like obviously prioritize the things that you're interested in. And so just like knowing that time management and prioritization is like super important is a good thing when you're coming in.
Great advice. Thank you. And with that, I would love to open it up to our Q&A. So, alums, if you want to take a quick look at the Q&A, and I will as well in just a moment. But in the meantime, I want to share just a few links based on some things that we either have or might talk about here as it relates to the Q&A based on what you hope for us to address. And that is about some of our application information about the curriculum that you could find valuable. So those might be of interest to you. So one of our questions is about any common pitfalls that students face that cause them to fall behind their goals or, hold them back academically. Either of you want to answer that?
I
Yeah,
think quite
Addison.
echoing what Azain said, yeah. Maybe I go first. I think echoing what Azain talked about previously, it's really how you balance between academics and also your career path if you are specifically considering for this program. But I think it's quite general for all programs you might be looking at for master's degree. Definitely a big time and financial commitment. So definitely make a good balance between a lot of your goals. And I think common pitfall is that you might got distracted or feel a bit pressured, maybe peer pressured, because there's so many things happening. You might want to do lots of different stuff, and you're looking at so many different types of jobs at the same time. But maybe getting more like focused and have more a big conversation with career advisors or academically, and then that will help you to be more clear about how you want to position yourself and to gain out of the program.
Yeah, I think that's mostly it. Like I don't think I have much to add, and Addison covered it very well.
Okay, great. All right, so there's a question about the CFA credential. And, one thing I'll say is if you do have those credentials, the resume is a good place for you to put it in your application. And of course, what we're looking for as part of your application is your interest in this space, right? What are the things that you've done that have led you to this point that lead you to believe that this is the right next step for you? And a CFA could very well be a demonstration of that. We recognize that it's a rigorous program that requires significant commitment, and in doing so, showcases some of your dedication to the field, which is always good. But I would say, there's a lot of different ways to do that. So if you're sitting here right now and you're thinking, should I go out and get a CFA or what should I do? There are a variety of ways, and so that could just be one of them. Let's see. I'm just going to kind of take a quick look. How does the 9-month program direct full-time job placement compare to longer programs that include an internship? Um, yeah, do you want to talk? I mean, we've talked a little bit about the practical experience and its role basically as the equivalent of an internship for students that are participating in this program, or the colloquium, or, some of the investment competitions that people participate in. But did either of you feel that you didn't have enough practical experience, or did you hear from your classmates that they wish they would have had more extended time? Is there, maybe a pathway where it would make sense to not, from your point of view, like if somebody needs more time, what would that look like? It seems like your classes did very well with the 9-month foundation into your career paths, but any thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't want to like sugarcoat it. Like, I think it's harder with a 9 month and no internship. Like, the thing about the asset management industry is it's quite apprenticeship focused, and a lot of hedge funds, particularly, would prefer that you sort of spend the time with them over the summer, or like spend any time with them so they can gauge whether or not you would be good in the environment. Because it's one thing knowing the skills, it's another applying them in a really high stress environment, or like a dynamic and fast paced environment. And so I think about Bridgewater's own recruiting. Like, I think most of the full time hiring we do is like sourced from a internship pipeline. Having said that, like, I did not intern at Bridgewater and got the offer, and I know of people who did not intern at Bridgewater and are working there full time. But I think the conventional path is the internship. But in terms of where the 9 month is advantageous, like, I think if you have like a really good idea of what you want to do and you just want to go after it, like, I think the 9 month is actually sort of better than like an 18 month or a 24 month, because you basically just like enter the workforce more quickly. You like don't need to spend the time figuring out which internship to go for. And then the practical like work requirement is like a cool way of like not having to leave school, but still getting that practical experience in. And since it's baked into the curriculum, like, I think people are understanding both at work and both at Yale about the fact that you have more commitments. And so, like, I think in that case, I think it makes a lot of sense. But I will say though, like, recruiting in general is hard. Like, in the US, it's hard everywhere, but it's specifically hard in this industry. And so whether or not you want to recruit for the summer internship, like, you're gonna have to like kind of experience that call it that pain a little bit. So yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, there's a few questions a little bit about, if, oh, sorry, Addison, were you going to add on to that? You're welcome to.
I think pretty much echoing what Azain said. It's just I understand that lots of like the sell side jobs, they just fill every stop in your full-time class with summer internship returns. But just luckily we got several like openings that is for like full-time. And I think the recruitment process is quite similar if you're going for any sell side jobs, no matter it's summer internships or full-time. Just to make you maybe feel a little bit better if you're going directly for 9 months for full time. You're just doing summer internships for 2 months. It's quite a lot of experience, and also the hard time you'll be going through. So it will be pretty much more, it is direct if you just go for full time. But definitely the recruitment process is it is challenging in general. So we're not sugarcoat it or make it sound better in a way that 9 months is better, but definitely just considering that the recruitment should be quite equivalent for summers and for full time. So it will, if you know what you are looking for, no matter what program you are in, you will get to the final spot you are looking to get into workforce in the end. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, we are at time and I want to be respectful. I know how busy you all are with the work that you do, and there are a few more questions that are out there. And what I want to do is encourage you to join us at an upcoming event. So, particularly on the admissions front, we have events that are fully dedicated to admissions questions and talking about what we're looking for in candidates. One thing that I'll mention is, there's a criteria to be admitted into the program. And then once you start to look at these various employers, there might be a set of a set of expectations that they have of you in terms of your background or experience. So it's hard with just a limited amount of information to say, if a candidate has this much experience or this background, or they don't have this background, is this possible or is it not? It's not as clean cut as that. So I do hope that through our sets of events and the opportunities that you'll have to engage with our students and in the future alums or faculty, that you'll have those chances to continue to assess what you need to be successful, not only to get into the Master's in Asset Management program, which we'll help you with, but ideally to get into that role that you seek at graduation. I want to thank our alums for joining us today. I want to thank all of you for joining us today. We're appreciative of you being here, and we look forward to getting to know you throughout this process. Thank you again for being with us today, and we will look forward to seeing you at a future event. Bye-bye.